Burnett?
Here.
Gray?
Here.
Mr. President.
Here. Please stand for the pledge and invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, please bless the family of former Mayor Mike Fahey with the loss of their son this week and funeral today. Please also bless the family of Captain Dustin Lukasowitz, who died serving his country, who was a Nebraska native and University of Nebraska at Omaha grad, and serving the people of Nepal in a time of great need. And please bless our kids this summer, it being the last week of school for our public schools here in Omaha, that they be safe this summer and that our streets remain peaceful all summer long. Amen.
Amen. Amen. City Clerk certifies publication in Daily Record, the official newspaper of the City of Omaha, on May 15, 2015. Notatory pre-council and regular council meetings May 19, 2015. A current copy of the Open Meeting Act is posted in the white binder on the east wall of the legislative chambers.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Omaha City Council. This meeting is conducted in public and by law may only address the topics listed on this published agenda. The council will hear testimony but will not engage in debate of the issues with the public at this meeting. During testimony, it's not appropriate to applaud or convey disapproval. These actions only detract from the formal decorum of the meeting. At this time, please turn off or mute any electronic devices. And we have two items before we get started today. First one is Councilman Franklin Thompson. Want to make an introduction?
Yes.
Yes, we appreciate when college students are interested in government, local municipal government, and so for the next 2 or 3 months, you will see Katrina Hurley. Katrina, if you could stand up, and she will be joining us, and so she's an intern in training. Thank you, Katrina.
Thank you and welcome. And the second item is a proclamation we have in honor of Connie Spellman, Director of Omaha by Design, who is soon retiring from Omaha by Design, so we wanted to embarrass her appropriately today. So Connie, we're going to read this for you, and then we'll give you a chance to have some remarks. And I understand there's interest in getting a snapshot with the City Council, too. So here we go. Whereas Connie Spellman has been Director of Omaha by Design since its founding in 2001, and whereas Connie was the Vice President of Leadership, Education, and Workforce Development at the Greater Omaha Chamber of Commerce from 1989 to 2000, and whereas over the course of her career, which she dedicated to public service, Connie has also been a tireless volunteer for numerous community organizations, including the Greater Omaha Women's Fund, the AIM Institute, and the Urban League. And whereas Connie has been honored as the Omaha World Herald's Midlander of the Year, elected to honorary membership in the American Society of Landscape Architects, and received the Distinguished Leadership Award for a planning advocate from the Nebraska chapter of the American Planning Association. And whereas Connie has left an indelible impact on Omaha's built environment by spearheading passage of the urban design element and the environmental element to the City of Omaha Master Plan, and whereas Connie is retiring from Omaha by Design after 14 years of service, and whereas the Omaha City Council recognizes Connie for her enduring dedication and service to the community, now therefore we, the City Council of Omaha, wish to offer our sincere thanks to Connie for her lifetime of outstanding service to the community, and do hereby declare the 19th day of May 2015 as Connie Spellman Day in the City of Omaha.
And you really expect me to say something after that? My name is Connie Spellman. My address is 705 North 57th Avenue. I'm very happy to be here today. That may be the last time I say that as representing Omaha by Design. I'm really overwhelmed, especially with the last 14 years where I've had the opportunity to have this public-private philanthropic partnership with the City of Omaha and the privilege to work on the issues that you talked about, especially the urban design and environmental element. And I see that back row of people that I've worked with as well on making all of this happen. I think it was a new form of collaboration that has really grown over these past 14 years, benefiting, I think, the city as a whole in ways that are hard to describe but easy to see when you look around and see how the city has changed in 14 years. You mentioned my time at the Chamber of Commerce. I was there for 20 years, and very rarely did we have lists in the top 10 that Omaha was achieving. Now you look and there are pages of top 10 accomplishments, and I think a lot of that has to do with the way the city has governed itself. And the one thing that I have learned specifically is the role that you all play as city council members is not an easy one. You are faced with very difficult challenges that deserve and require a lot of consideration, collaboration, discussion, debate, to come up with what you think is best for the city of Omaha in the long run. And I know that this council over these past several years has been that focused and that committed, and I want to congratulate you for that, and keep doing the right thing so that our city will continue to grow and have more and more accomplishments, not only for just the awards that are given, but for the quality of life that is shared by the citizens as a result of your actions. So thank you so very much. I'm proud and privileged and pleased to have had the opportunity to work with you all. And I'll be watching from the sidelines, and I may come back and speak as a citizen and tell you what I really feel about an issue. Thank you very much.
Well, Connie, that was eloquent as always. And since, maybe a personal note too, since I've known you, I think since 7th grade, probably on the way to a soccer practice or something. It's been a pleasure working with you over the years too, in a professional capacity at the Chamber of Commerce and through our city policy work in Omaha by Design. And your impact, I think, will truly have a lasting effect on our community, particularly when we talk about the urban design code that's now in place that will literally change the way our community looks for the next 20 or 30 years. So that's something you should be very proud of, and something I see as your legacy. So thanks so much for all your work, and it's time for a little photograph, I think, in front here. Everybody?
You're very nice to do this. It's all Teresa's fault.
Two 8x10s in color, please.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We'll see you in the neighborhood. Madam Clerk.
Special use permit broadcast tower. Item 5 is a resolution to approve a special use permit application by SBA Communication Verizon Wireless to allow broadcast tower at 16140 4th Street. It's over from April 15th. A is Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval. B is a document submitted by Lynn Heller, Director of Stone Creek Homeowners Association. C is a document submitted by Troy Myerson, attorney representing Stone Creek, all over from April 21, 2015. And item D is a request by the applicant for a 5-week layover to June 23rd.
So moved.
Roll call.
Jerem? Yes. Melton?
Yes.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Special use permits, personal improvement services, and personal services. Item 6 is a resolution approving a special use permit application submitted by Omaha Blue Wave to allow personal improvement services in a GI General Industrial District located at 13801 Industrial Road. It's over from May 5 for publication and public hearing. It had publication. Item 7 is a resolution to approve the special use permit application submitted by Omaha Blue Wave for a special use permit to allow personal services in a GI General Industrial District located at 13801 Industrial Road. It's over from May 5 for publication and public hearing, had publication. A is the Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearings on number 6 and 7 are today. Are there any proponents?
Yes, sir. Jeff Laney, Omaha Blue Waves, 16406 Greenleaf Street, Omaha, Nebraska, 68137. I'm one of the owners of the businesses. I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Any opponents? Public hearings closed. Mr. Pauls.
Thank you, Mr. President. Jeff, I have a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
I did go to attend your open house, and I have to say, for a small business, a lot of larger businesses would have appreciated the number of people you had there. As I read your resume, I think sometimes we have what I call these hidden gems. I'm not going to read all of the kudos about yourself, but you are a retired police officer.
Yes.
Which you ought to appreciate. But also, and I can't pronounce all of the organizations or all of the martial arts that you are qualified to perform or to teach. But I know that you're the president of
United States Keto Federation.
right, and also a regional director.
Of the World Organization of Martial Arts Athletes.
Okay. And so it does appear like I said, one of those hidden gems. And also your Michelle is the co-owner.
Michelle is the co-owner, and she is the president-elect of the Miller Business Association.
Yes. And I'm glad you said that because here we have your wife, who I met just recently, is another one of those dynamic
She's
women.
amazing.
And that's probably the good side of the family, right?
Definitely the good side of the family. I'm the poor side of the family. She's
Yeah.
the great side.
Yeah. And I'm just curious because you were located in a business in the Millard area, but I think they
Yes.
sold the building?
The building was sold. The one that we're currently in right now was sold to another party who has other designs on it that aren't family friendly, and there's a big push to get us out, and we're very fortunate that we found the space that we're hopefully going to be in soon.
Well, okay, now I question you said hopefully, because I've been out there. It looks like it was pretty much done.
It is pretty much done. We're just still waiting for a certificate of occupancy so that we can move and
Okay,
move into the space.
is that moving along okay?
A little slower than we'd like. I understand procedures and things getting through, but it's been a long haul. We're hoping someday soon
Okay.
we'll get in.
Okay. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I so move.
Second.
Roll call.
Jerem?
Yes.
Melton? Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
The resolutions are adopted 7-0.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Item number 8 is the application of Crestwood Investments LLC, DBA Crestwood Bev Mart, 1420 South 60th Street for a packaged liquor license.
Public hearing on number 8 is today. Proponents, please.
Good afternoon. My name is John Ashley. I am a native of Omaha, grew up in the neighborhood where the store is at 62nd Pacific. I went to Bell Ryan School, was in the first graduating class there, then went to Omaha Central High School and graduated from UNO in 1968. I was a slow learner. It took me 8 years to do that. But our family has operated there since 1924, excepting for one 18-year period when the store was leased out. My wife and I operated it until 3 years ago when we leased it out to the golf store. And Tony wants to move the golf store into a smaller location at the north end of the building. So we needed to do something with the rest of it. And rather than have it vacant, I thought we should just go ahead and put a beverage mart in there. We would be specializing in craft and import beers. It would be a family operation by my wife and myself. And then we would add items that are normally in a convenience store, but we would not have gasoline there. And that's kind of our story. Any questions?
think there might be some, but first we'll continue with public hearing. Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Mr. Jerem.
Yes, Mr. Ashley. Thank you for coming up before the meeting and introducing yourself. You seem like a nice enough fellow and certainly have strong ties to the neighborhood. I shared with you, though, that in the time that you've not been operating the convenience store there and it became the Classic Golf, there's been a number of, I would say, pretty big changes in the area to your south, north, and west. Primarily, the neighborhood association members have reached out to me and expressed concern about the prospect of becoming a walk in and out sort of neighborhood refrigerator for perhaps the college students who are now living to your west in the dorms, as well as the little liquor bottles and things that come along with that. And they've kind of grown accustomed to this quieter area. Even the track side is now tracks, and it's more of a restaurant. So they've asked me not to support the liquor side of the operation, and they've also expressed concerns about whether there would be an overhead canopy again with really bright lights for pumping gas, and about vehicles being parked on that north side of the building and that big lot out there where the gas pumps used to be, as well as whether you would join and participate in some way with the Exarban Elmwood Park Neighborhood Association, which as a business owner is the probably most direct way for you to get feedback from your neighbors as to what's going on. And I did appreciate you saying you would post your business card on the business so people could get a hold of you. But I wanted to let you know personally where I was coming from. It's my sense that I'm in the minority on that position, but I did appreciate you saying you'd be willing to consider other things too for the business.
Well, they may not know it, but I am a member of the neighborhood association.
Oh, good.
We've always supported neighborhood associations because I think they're very important in Omaha. Gives the citizens a voice. Outside lighting, we eliminated the gasoline canopy with the bright lights that used to be there, and I put in up-to-date lighting on the front of the building. I removed what was there and put up-to-date lighting that doesn't shine in people's windows because that's in the codes these days. We did that 3.5 years ago, I believe.
Yeah, the property looks really impressive compared to the way it did when it was the convenience store the last time. So that's, I think, kind of what the concern is that it's been renovated and improved and brought up to a level where they're worried that maybe it might slip the other way. So what can you say to address
It's not going to slip the other way because we did their improvements 3.5 years ago when they were done. We put new dormers on, and I brought an architect down. I said, I want you to look at the houses around here because I want it to fit into the area. And, you know, if you go around Omaha, you can pretty tell when commercial buildings were built just by the architecture and the style. But in that area, if you fit into the neighborhood and model yourself after the neighborhood, then you're always going to be in style there. And that's what I wanted, and that's what I told him, and that's what we did.
Okay.
Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Cornelian.
I do. Nobody's contacted me.
Mr. Ashley, not that I was intently listening or on purpose, but I did overhear your conversation with Councilmember Jerem, and I too am pleased that you have agreed, one, to continue your membership in the neighborhood association for that particular area, and I just want to add into the record so it's sort of formalized. We have some standard documents, or in this particular case, a document that indicates these conditions. So it's my understanding that you'll agree to no single cans or bottles of beer to be sold or displayed any size less than a quart. Is that correct?
That's correct. And it's been my observation, and we had instructed our cashiers when we had the store before, if somebody looks inebriated and wants to buy it, we don't sell it to them, because you can't by law. That can be a tough decision to make.
And I realize that sometimes it's difficult to prevent, and there are measures in place to monitor those types of situations, but I'm willing to give someone a chance to prove their worth, and so far it sounds pretty good to me. Also, there's a condition that no alcoholic liquor or wine will be sold or displayed for sale in any container with a liquid capacity less than 750 milliliters, or commonly known as minis or airplane shots. You agree to that as well?
Just a quick connection. Those come in sleeves of 10. So is it okay to do the sleeves of 10 and not the singles, or would you rather just knock them all out?
It's my preference that it says for sale of any container with the liquid capacity less than 750 milliliters.
Okay. Okay.
And out of curiosity, how long have you been a member of the neighborhood association?
Well, on and off for more than, I lived at 59th and Poppleton and 61st and Pacific. We very recently located out 183rd and C, but we still own the property there. And have a lot of regard for that neighborhood. It's been wonderful to my family. So.
Yeah. My uncle lived at 63rd Shirley.
Mm-hmm.
A good number of years
Right.
before he retired from the fire department. I think we have, okay. This agreement that I just read is right here. This is the official document that we'll need you to sign.
Okay.
So, just so that I'm clear for the record, no single cans or bottles, no airplane shots, and you agree to continue your membership in the neighborhood association. Is that correct?
Sure.
Okay. I would make a motion to approve. Subsequent the conditions aforementioned.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just very briefly, there were some concerns about parking adjacent, I think, to your property, and I wanted to know what your feelings were about that, or how you were going to address that.
Well, we can put up signs, no unauthorized parking, which I would be very happy to do. I've had my business card in the front window of the store, but I'll make that bigger, so if there are neighborhood concerns, they can call me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. No further lights. Motion and a second. Roll call.
Jerem? Melton? Pauls? Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
The application is granted with the stipulation of no sales on a 5-2 vote. Item number 9 is 2607 Inc., DBA Chevy's, 2607N Main Street, for a special designated liquor license for a dance on June 26th, and they are requesting music until midnight.
Public hearing on number 9 is today. Proponents, please. I think we have the next testifier coming behind you there. If you might want to move to the side to sign that first, that'd be great. Thank you. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Jeremy Edelman, 2607 North Main Street, Elkhorn, Nebraska, 68022, and I'm happy to answer any questions or concerns you may have.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Mr. Thompson?
Yes, Jeremy, like what I see out there, in fact, I just drove by on Sunday. You seem like you're the most happening institute or establishment on Main Street there. And I imagine tomorrow night you're going to show the game, right? NBA game?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I might come out and watch it with you.
Absolutely. And on another personal line, I want to thank you for coming out and hearing some considerations due to the parking issue we do have in Elkhorn, and I do want to just thank you on that. I'm sorry I couldn't be at that meeting, but I do want to thank you for taking the time for us out there.
And they got the striping, the extra striping done, so
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
helping.
Yes.
Okay, 12 midnight on music.
Yes, sir.
That's good. Did you do that last year?
Yes, it'll
Okay.
be our 4th year of doing it now.
But
so-
it was 12 midnight last
Yes,
year, right? Okay.
yes.
All right, move the approval.
Motion and a second. Roll call.
Jerem? Melton?
Yes.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett? Gray?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Thank you.
The application is approved 7-0. Item 10 is a resolution to grant approval to EHPV Lottery Services for a satellite Keno location at A&M Resources LLC, The Verdict Bar and Grill, 1901 Harney Street.
Public hearing on number 10 is today. Proponents, please.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the council, my name is Katrina Coffey. I'm Vice President of Marketing for Big Red Keno. We're located at 11248 John Galt Boulevard in Omaha. I have with me today Scott Adams, the owner of The Verdict, and we're here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Second.
Roll call.
Jerem. Melton. Pauls.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Gurnett.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Thank you.
Resolution is adopted 7-0. Consent agenda. Any member of the City Council may cause any item placed on the consent agenda to be removed therefrom. Items removed from the consent agenda shall be taken up by the City Council immediately following the consent agenda in the order in which they were removed, unless otherwise taken out of order as otherwise provided by the City Council Rules of Order. The public hearings on agenda item numbers 11 through 13 were held on May 12, 2015.
Is there a motion?
Second. Motion approved.
Roll call.
Jerem. Melton. Pauls.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Gurnett. Gray.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
The ordinances are passed 7-0.
Public hearings on agenda items number 14 through 29 are today. If you wish to address the City Council regarding these items, please come to the microphone, indicate the agenda item number you wish to address, identify yourself by name, address, who you represent, and if you are a proponent or an opponent. See none, public hearings are closed. I had one question I was going to ask before we proceed with that. Since I was not available for pre-council today, I did want to ask, I think Mr. Stubbe probably on number 20, just a question about the Ames resurfacing project. So this would be from what we think is the first phase of Ames Street resurfacing, right, from Fondell Boulevard to 28th Street?
Bob Stubbe, Public Works, that is correct.
And if approved today, would start when?
We're projecting that it'd probably be the middle to latter part of July and would run into probably the middle of August.
Okay. And we talked about a second phase of that stretch, right, all the way to 72nd Street?
What we have is that there was funding available in the CIP for a project location at a different site. With the mayor's concurrence, we've taken those funds and redirected it to this location. Currently, we're doing the ADA improvements at the intersections in this particular section, and what we would end up doing is west of Fontenelle, probably just do some panel repairs because there's not enough funding available to essentially do everything from Fontenelle all the way west to 72nd Street in this year.
Okay. Would the phase from Fontenelle to 72nd be considered for resurfacing, though, in the future?
That is correct, yeah. Potentially, we would look at something in that particular area in the future. And again, if it's possible, we would just do panel repairs. If there's some areas that's essentially beyond panel repairs, then we'll end up having to do resurfacing.
And you mentioned the money that was transferred for this. That was about $1.5 million, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, about 1.6. Keep in mind is that with the ADA ramps, I think that's somewhere in the neighborhood of $400,000 to $500,000 plus the $800,000 that associated with this. And then again, the leftover amount would be potentially used for some panel repairs west of that location.
Okay, so it is using the full amount from
yes. Our goal is to try to use the full amount, yes.
Okay. I think this will be a welcome project, and we'd also welcome resurfacing the rest of the stretch in the future year if possible.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Just,
Mr. Gray.
thank you. Do we have a ballpark figure as to when they would do phase 2, Mr. Stubbe? Do you know when we would do phase 2 of Ames?
Yeah. Again, Bob Stubbe, Public Works. Again, what we would do is essentially end up assessing that section west of Fontenelle Boulevard. From what we also understand, that there's a potential that MUD has some additional work that would take place west of where they're currently working now. So we would have to go through an evaluation as far as what that work consists of and when they're proposing on doing what they're planning.
Have they definitely said they're going to do that, or do they have some issues there that they have to address?
They've identified that they want to do something west up to in the area of 72nd Street, but to my knowledge, I'm not sure what totally that consists of. Because they are currently working in that particular area now to the east of Fondnell, essentially.
Yeah, and they're doing something west too. I saw them up there west. But
Okay.
I don't know what they're, okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yep, there's a motion and a second on these items. Roll call.
Jerem. Milton. Pauls. Thompson. Gurnett. Gray. Mr. President.
Yes.
Resolutions are adopted 7-0. Item number 30 is a resolution to approve the Conrad Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project Plan for a site located between 36th and 37th Streets from Jones Street south to the alley. It's over from April 28th for publication and public hearing. Had publication.
Public hearing on number 30 is today. Proponents, please. Ms. Hadley.
Good afternoon, Bridget Hadley, City Planning. I understand this project was before you last week, so I'll try to keep it brief. This is the TIF redevelopment project for this area of 36th to 37th, Jones to the alley just south of Leavenworth Street, so the area that you see highlighted in the red and the blue. And what is proposed there is for demolition, as you've probably seen if you've driven by the site, complete demolition of the entire site. There were about 13, 14 plus structures there, residential structures. I have another aerial. These orange dots, excuse me, not dots, diamond shape, basically indicate properties in this Blackstone neighborhood area that have code violations. And so there were several just in this particular section. Properties that were deemed unfit and unsafe. So this particular project helps to eliminate a lot of that substandard blight conditions and proposes a 153-unit multifamily 3-story structure. I have some current renderings I'll share with you. This is looking at the northwest corner of 37th and Jones, so you're looking southeast at the highest point of the site. And then a couple of other renderings or elevations from Jones Street, from the alley, so looking directly north. And then again from 36th Street and then looking from 37th Street. These particular renderings, or this particular project, has gone through several iterations of architectural design. Started out last year working with the developer and applicant, and we looked at the site. There were some concerns from the neighborhood that the developer addressed and then readdressed with public input from the neighborhood and of course with Councilman Jerem's help, and have come up with a very, very, I would say maybe overwhelmingly supported project by the neighborhood. We've had several meetings with the neighborhood association, and I believe the project is well received. This particular project, again, helps to continue redevelopment in that particular area, Blackstone in the Midtown development area, removes substandard blight conditions, and it also helps to provide additional housing for the nearby major employment centers of Mutual and UNMC. So it just continues revitalization of that area. We're looking at a little over $2.2 million in TIF and a project investment of a little over $21 million, almost $22 million into the area. I know the representatives of the developer are here. If you have any specific questions, I would ask for your approval.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing's closed. Roll call.
Jerem. Milton. Pauls. Thompson. Gurnett. Gray. Mr. President.
Yes.
Resolution is adopted 7-0. Mr. President, the Planning Department has requested that we take items 31 and 32 together. Item 31 is a resolution to approve the home-based tax increment financing redevelopment project plan for a site located at 1817 Exarban Drive. It's over from April 28th for publication and public hearing had publication. Item 32 is a resolution to approve the amendment to the Quad Tech LLC Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project Plan located at 1919 Exarban Drive, reducing the boundaries of the plan area by 1.37 acres. It's over from 42815 for publication and public hearing had publication.
Public hearings on number 31 and 32 are today. Proponents, please. Ms. Hadley.
Afternoon again, Bridget Hadley, City Planning. I appreciate you allowing me to take these together. These two projects do go together in that the amendment to Quad Tech, which was one of the first TIF redevelopment projects that occurred in the Exarban redevelopment area back in about 2007, 2008, maybe even 2006, which was the Blue Cross Blue Shield headquarters, their new headquarters. This particular exhibit that was attached to the resolution shows what was presented at that time of that particular TIF application. So this was the site of the new headquarters for Blue Cross Blue Shield. And at that time, they did separate out the different parcels. So what you see highlighted here in yellow is the parking lot that is now being considered for the item number 31, or excuse me, item number, 31, which is the home-based TIF redevelopment project plan. So that same parking lot is what you see highlighted in blue. And again, this is the Blue Cross Blue Shield property right there. What this project proposes is a 70,800 square foot Class A office, 4-story Class A commercial office structure. There has been, of course, a lot of redevelopment in the Exarban redevelopment area. The area has definitely taken off. So this particular project just helps to continue redevelopment in that area. It allows for another corporate office to have its headquarters at this site. The floors 2 through 4 will have corporate office users, with the 4th floor being dedicated to one particular corporate headquarters of an office or an entity that is not being made public at this time. The ground floor will have parking space as well as a lobby for the office tenants. The project, I do have a this is the site, so site plan. I think it'll be easier to see this way. So surface parking would be here with a structure over it, and then 4 floors of the office building. And then I have a rendering. Again, a preliminary rendering of what the finished product would look like. This particular project would involve approximately additional 60 jobs into the area, adding daytime traffic to support the economic activity in the area. Again, adding additional Class A office into this particular area, which had been in short supply in the city. Continuing redevelopment in this particular Exarban area. It does call for a little over $2.3 million in TIF and a total project investment of a little over $17 million. And I know we do have representatives of the developer here, but I will ask for your approval.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing's closed. Roll call.
Jerem? Melton? Pauls? Thompson? Gurnett? Gray? Mr. President.
Yes.
Resolutions are adopted 7-0. Pursuant to City Council Rule 7H, due to no meeting being held May 26, 2015, the third reading and public hearing on agenda item number 33 shall be held on June 2, 2015. Pursuant to City Council Rule 7H, due to no meeting being held May 26, 2015, the third reading on agenda item numbers 34 through 36 shall be held on June 2, 2015. The public hearings on these items are today. Ordinances on second reading. Item 34 is an ordinance declaring necessity of appropriating for use of the City of Omaha described property located at 3080 South 16th Street and approving an agreement between the City and North Ponca Housing Authority to acquire the property in the sum of $19,540.
Public hearing on number 34 is today. Are there any proponents? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing's closed.
Item 35 is an ordinance declaring necessity of acquiring for use of the City of Omaha necessary lands located at the northwest corner of Q Street and 135th Street for the Southwest Police Precinct for the Police Department, providing for approval of a purchase agreement with Lanahaw 135 Millard LLC.
Thank you. Public hearing on number 35 is today. Are there any proponents? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Mr. Pauls.
Thank you, Mr. President. Could I have someone from that organization, from Lanahaw? I think you're here. Just I have a couple questions.
Hi, Jason Lanahaw, 1911 West Center Road.
As you know, there's an awful lot of curiosity what's going on in that area. I know we're just talking about, I think, Lot 7.
Correct.
But there's so much interest there because if I'm going to really take your brains way back because Millard in 1873 it was platted. They lost their city status about 100 years later, and the Millard lumber, or not the Millard, but a lumber yard was established about 10 years later. So 120 years we had a lumber yard there.
Correct.
And in 2008 it was vacated. And we have people crying to know what's happening there, what's a new life. So I'm going to ask you to sort of give a little bit of a view of what the future could look like.
Absolutely. Let me pull open a few documents here. Can we use this? I think it might be too big for the projector over there. What's that? Well, sure. Okay. Yeah, Councilmember Pauls. So we're here today talking about lot number 7, which is this right here, and this is the proposed police precinct, 22,600 square feet, 2-story building. Coming through the core of the product here in this orange-yellow color is a market rate multifamily product. It's a fairly dense product. It's 346 units, which is about 35 units an acre. Under building parking, I can't recall the exact number of stalls, 200 and some odd, 90 some odd under building parking stalls and related amenities. Up here along Millard Avenue is a mixed-use building, about 40,000 square feet. Retail on the first floor, office on the second floor. We're doing significant improvements in the public right-of-way, specifically Cotner here and Potwin. We're taking the street completely out, reconstructing it. It's some of this public right-of-way in downtown Millard is a little confusing to say the least. For example, these streets weren't even in dedicated public right-of-way, so we're actually dedicating quite a bit of public right-of-way back to the city to kind of clean up the area. On-street parking on both of those streets. We're constructing this roundabout here to try to create kind of our town center, and we're rehabbing the Brick Street as well. So that's kind of an high-level view. We're talking in the range of a little north of $50 million investment into downtown Millard. And I think maybe more importantly, the timing on all this, pending approval of the police precinct, we're talking in July, late July, start of construction. Building number 1, same time frame, and this large building number 3 and related amenities will start at the same time as well. And we will continue to construct each multifamily building within 30-day increments. So the full price, we're not phasing. The full project will start this summer.
Okay, this summer, the full, contingent on what we do today.
Correct.
So if I live out that area, I'm going to see something coming up from the ground.
Absolutely. Yeah, so to bring up to speed a little bit, and I know you're aware of this, we've gone ahead and demoed the site. We've started to do some of the initial site preparation, surcharging, just to get that ready in anticipation of construction, and not necessarily on the precinct, but on the other buildings that we're doing privately. And so that's already started. Everyone's engaged contractually, full architectural documents in full mode, and it's full steam ahead.
and you know what's happening, all those little buildings right alongside it, a little further off, a block or two off. I mean, there are people out there, they're thinking, I mean, their prices are going, I mean, this is the potential for the Millard area. This is what I call a rebirth of a small town.
We hope so. And we talked about this a little bit as well in the past. We're trying to do something that will advance beyond the borders of just our property. So we're trying to set the tone for Millard Ave, that we hope that it doesn't stop with what we do. I think our specific project can be successful that occurs, but the overall higher level picture, we'd like to see it go up and down Millard Avenue and really start the proverbial snowball. So that's our mission, that's our goal. We're designing and making decisions with that in mind.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I would add, too, that I'm definitely supportive of this item for, next week as well. If you've been near the Southwest Precinct anytime recently, there's a clear need for improvement there, as Mr. Pauls knows. I'll just pass on a conversation. We had a Public Safety Committee meeting today, too, on this, about precincts in general, with the police chief, that should there be a reorganization of precincts in the future, which I think we all know is being considered, that does not impact this consideration today, because regardless, this precinct would be needed for this area, and I think clearly that's the case. But then secondly, just as a note as well, a small portion of this funding does come from an advance acquisition fund related to police headquarters, which may or may not be needed for that purpose at that location. But something we need to keep our eyes on as well in the future is the needs of police headquarters, and we talked about that this morning too, and that's a very big number that I'm not sure can wait several more years for that need. So that's something we need to keep in mind too when we look at our needs citywide. With that, no more lights.
Pleasure to move this one.
Second.
It's just public hearing today, so we can move it.
See how anxious I am? Let's skip these steps, huh?
I'll reserve your motion for next week.
Okay, all right, I
Actually,
appreciate
two
it.
weeks, because we don't meet next week. You'll have to be patient.
Okay, it'll be tough.
But I'll let you do it then. Thank you. Next item.
Item 36 is an ordinance to transfer $8,585,566 in unencumbered appropriations in the 2015 budget of the City of Omaha for the wage adjustment account to city departments.
Public hearing on number 36 is today. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing's closed. Mr. Curtis, just one question for you too on this. So this is a big number, $8.5 million, but I want folks watching to know what this does, which essentially this transfers the accounts from unencumbered wages into citywide departments as a result of the recently negotiated and approved civilian contracts, right?
Steve Curtis, City Finance, that's correct.
And is there any balance left in that unencumbered fund, or does that eliminate that fund?
So there are at least a few things there. If you recall, in the negotiation for fire, there was $1.4 million in wage freezes that they took in 14, so that amount is there. Plus, the amount for police is still there because that contract's not finished. And I believe there's a little bit left from the civilian side that would remain there until we finish all the contracts.
Okay. But civilian contracts are finished, right, for 2015?
Right, but they're not segregated by contract, so it would be available to finish off any contract.
Okay. So we'll probably have a similar ordinance like this for fire, which was recently approved, and then police pending an agreement?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Next item.
Pursuant to City Council Rule 7H, due to no meeting being held May 26, 2015, the third reading and public hearing on agenda item number 37 shall be held on June 9, 2015. Pursuant to City Council Rule 7H, due to no meeting being held May 26, 2015, the second reading and public hearings on agenda item numbers 38 through 39 shall be held on June 2, 2015.
Motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing labor negotiations. Owen?
Roll call.
Jerem? Melton? Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett? Gray?
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes. The City Council will now adjourn into executive session where we will only discuss labor negotiations.
Of executive session. Second.
The City Council has now come out of executive session where we only discuss labor negotiations. Roll call.
Jerem. Melton. Pauls.
Yes.
Thompson. Gurnett. Gray.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion adjourned.
Roll call.
Jerem.
Yes.
Melton. Pauls.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Gurnett. Gray.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
We are adjourned.
Yes, yes.
Amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty, above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining